The Love Bunker may be my favourite episode from Series 8. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely up there, but it may just be because the characters and locations used here are a bit more distinct than in most other episodes in the current series, leading to it standing out a lot from the somewhat directionless melodrama we've had so far. Speaking of melodrama, this episode is the one that properly establishes the idea that Jeremy may be in love with Dobby, which goes on to be a big thing at the end of this series. I'll be honest with you, I've never really liked this idea at all. I've always felt it came across as very forced, and I don't think it's particularly funny either. Some good lines do arise from the interactions in this episode, sure, and I think there was definitely potential chemistry between the two that could have been capitalised on more in the show, but I don't think the way to do that is by ham-fistedly inserting a weird love triangle scenario halfway through your 8th series. I've just assumed that the idea with this whole thing was that Jez didn't really love Dobby, and he was kind of losing his mind and grasping at straws as to ways he could stop the seemingly inevitable split between him and Mark, maybe subconsciously. I like that idea, and think the impending realisation that his symbiotic relationship with Mark could be coming to an end, and it may mean he has to start being a real person, is definitely something that would make for an appropriate end to the series, but I can't say I'm a fan of the way that this episode introduces that concept to us. Though, as I've said, I do like this episode, and it does have some great moments that I don't want to overshadow. The hat game scene is brilliant, and I feel like there's a lot of inside jokes between the writers going on in it. Plus, I love that our lead characters eventually get paired off with their opposite supporting roles at the paintballing place, Mark with Hans and Jez with Dobby. For how frequently they both appear, I've always felt that Mark and Hans, without Jez, was an underutilised pairing, and so it's refreshing to see them have such an extended period together in this episode. So yeah, I do like The Love Bunker. As I said, it might even be my favourite episode of Series 8, but for me at least, this series hasn't really reached the heights of even a few series ago, let alone the bar that was set during the often dubbed glory years from Series 2 to 4. A pretty interesting premise with some standout scenes and memorable lines that's perfectly okay, pretty good in fact, but is somewhat let down by a rather lackluster overarching story and an over-reliance on side characters. That could probably describe most episodes in Series 8 to be honest, but this time it's The Love Bunker.